Hello fellow gaming minions, welcome back to my channel. It is so good to be back, especially after a few years of being MIA, goodness me, and it's so good to see you, well, so to speak. Today we are going to be diving into the Multiverse of Madness. So I must admit, I wonder if there's a version of me out there in the multiverse somewhere where I am the #1 most subscribed YouTuber in the world. Who knows? Or maybe I'm some sort of billionaire philanthropist who actually helps heal the world and try to solve the world of its problems. Maybe not solve, pretty much just try and help out as much as possible with all that wealth and power. A man can dream, no. A man can dream. But at least I can rest every day in the fact of knowing that I am the greatest video gamer in the multiverse. So there is that. There will be hardly any spoilers for this review because I don't really want to step into spoiler territory for those of you that have not seen the movie yet. Anyhow, enough factual talk. Here is my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The Multiverse of Madness is indeed madness, my friends, my fellow mates and mateess across the globe, right from the characters all the way down to the visuals. Reprising her role as Wanda Maximoff, Elizabeth Olsen returns back to the MCU after a brief moment in her own TV series that many people disliked, which is quite predictable, to be honest with you, with certain people these days, especially on YouTube. WandaVision. I mention WandaVision because I felt like what happened in that show it feels connected with what happens in this movie. Benedict Cumberbatch has a warm welcome, just like a warm bath, as he reprises his role as Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts, as we see him too get involved in the madness. The Multiverse of Madness is a wild CGI visual trip, especially regarding the powers used by the characters in this movie who actually possess them, while accompanied with the scenery of various locations depicted in this movie. It is evident that as you watch what unfolds visually, is that there is much CGI that you can enjoy, as you will not find it difficult to see what is happening on screen, both in the bright and in the dark scenes. The theme of this movie that stood out to me was the theme that of family. Being such a strong motivator for our antagonist of the movie, it's rooted in such a way that I regard as questionable, but also understanding of wanting it. However, the methods used to gain it, I felt was unacceptable. While watching the Multiverse of Madness, enjoying the visuals and the story, I wasn't keen on the musical score of the film all that much, because it was forgetful for me and not very memorable. Usually with movies, I do like to have a musical score to fit the tone of specific scenes throughout the film that can offer an emotional response that I can enjoy, that inspires hope, regret, excitement, or just all-round positive vibes. Sadly to say, I felt that this movie was lacking in the musical soundtrack area in that regard. To say the least, it wasn't really thrilling, but I was very happy and excited when I heard the glimpse of a certain theme tune from a certain cartoon that was released in the 1990s that I absolutely liked watching as a kid, when a certain appearance was made in this movie at a certain time. That was a nice touch. I got happy about that when I heard it. Made me remember the good old times of days long gone. I did, however, find myself loving the performance of the characters in the movie. I felt that the acting was good, to say the least, with certain characters having emotional moments. I liked how that was touched on because it made them feel like human, with needs and wants of their own. One of my favourite performances comes from Wanda the most out of this movie. Without giving anything or too much away, let's just say that I was very satisfied and happy with the amount of screen time that Elizabeth Olsen got while playing Wanda in this movie, as I have been waiting for her to have some more involvement and bigger screen time, or much more needed screen time, in a movie or on the big screen. As you may have noticed, I haven't really spoken about the plot all that much, or the actual story of how it goes. That's because I may feel I may give stuff away, even in the slightest way, if I actually do. And I don't feel that's actually good for a non-spoiler review, so it's probably best that I don't. But what I can say about the plot loosely is that our characters in the movie has to do their best to survive and look after each other, as we are all on a good roller coaster ride for some good action of it. Also, this movie does have a vibe of a horror element thrown into the mix, which can keep you engaged whether or not if you like that sort of thing. So overall, The Multiverse of Madness is an alright film. I personally enjoyed it. Mostly my issues with the movie are primarily related to the soundtracks of the film, along with the multiverse aspect of it. I didn't really get the multiverse aspect that I was hoping for or that I was expecting, especially considering Multiverse of Madness in the title. I think I was expecting a little bit too much from it. So there was that little drawback, but it doesn't take away from the overall enjoyment of the film. But where it takes place in the movie with the multiverse aspects, I was fine with that. There were some silly dialogue moments from certain characters in this film at certain points that make you question, like, why say that? You know, that sort of thing. Also, on a side note, this film didn't really feel like it was relying too heavily or even mildly on its jokes or humour, especially for those sentimental moments for the characters, which the way with the MCU formula has been with certain films doing that kind of thing, it felt like a breath of fresh air to exclude it out, not to have much of it in. Anyway, I am Dr. Virtual. That was my simple, non-spoiler review for The Multiverse of Madness. Let me know what your thoughts are on the movie if you've actually watched it, fellow media minions. Did you enjoy it? Did you have issues with it? Did you feel like certain things could have been taken out and other bits could have been added in? Did you like certain characters in this movie? Who was your favourite characters? Did you like the overall score of the film? Overall, is it a film that you would recommend? I would recommend it if you enjoy a tiny little bit of horror elements thrown into an MCU film, and with the fact that certain characters get a little bit more screen time than what they used to in certain other films, and also the fact with certain people arriving in on this movie. So I enjoyed it for those aspects of it. Probably a little bit more as well, but I'm Dr. Virtual. You take care of yourselves, fellow media minions, and I will see you soon. Hello gaming minions, thank you for watching today's video. Fancy owning some awesome Dr. Virtual merch? Then please hop on over to the site's store. The link will be in the description, and thank you ever so much for your kind support.